Let me share my screen. Here, you get this. Okay, so I'm going to back up. Where I'm at is I moved the folder from week 2, for the comparison contrast paper, over to week 5. So I'm just going to go into week 5, and that's where this week's lessons are also, and assignments. So online lessons and assignments. Now Launchpad, there's still the direct links to the learning curves. So the Launchpad assignments are in there. And this has been moved from last week, and I've added some things to the folder. So here's um, the requirements and guidelines, and you should have taken the quiz over that. I've added one, but I'm going to talk about what it is in a minute when we get to talking about the assignment. These were the the 5 topic choices you had. And what we're going to talk about today is we're going to look at types of supporting details. I'm just going to go through this presentation quickly. So you wrote your narrative essay, and the narrative, it's the most unique of the nonfiction essays because it's more like fiction in that it reads like a story. And you're using vivid descriptions, sensory details. Now, the description part, you're going to carry with you. That's still something you'll use even in the type of writing we're moving into. But I do narrative first because it's the most unique. So now we're approaching writing as the more your more traditional academic papers, but you're only writing paragraphs now because once we get to the argument essay, you'll have all of those skills because in an argument essay, really what compare, contrast, cause, effect, things like that, you can write a full essay like that, but really they're meant for paragraph organization because the strongest pieces of writing, they mix the different types. And it depends on the ideas that you're trying to get across. So we're going to look at the types of supporting details. They're going to be the most common now, and these come from sources mainly. So we're also moving into research and using information from sources. We're not really going to look at that really closely till we get to the argument essay, but for the paragraph, the comparison contrast paragraph, and the cause effect, if you want to look up information on us from a source, you can, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. All right, so he. Okay, hang on. I'm gonna switch screens here. I'm gonna stop sharing this one, share the other one. Oh, wait, let me do, yeah. Okay, so types of supporting details. Vivid descriptions and sensory details are still types of supporting details, but they're used mainly in narrative. But we're gonna look at an example in here because when I say that you'll still carry some of those skills with you, you're still gonna write descriptively depending on what you are looking at or trying to get across. All right, the first type of supporting detail is a fact, and there's 2 different kinds of facts. I didn't know that had noise on it. I don't know if you all can hear that, but there's 2 different kinds of facts. There's general and specific. General meaning broad categories. So when you wrote over the general and specific language for narrative and descriptive writing, it's the exact same thing. Uh, that's what it means. So general is broad. So this is a general example because it doesn't tell us any specific information. The high school dropout rate in the U.S. increases each year. Don't know what high school, don't know what the rate is, don't know how much it increases. Over here is a specific fact because it gives you that specific information. It gives dates, October 13 to and October 2014. It gives an age for the students and it gives a number. So it's specific. So when you're looking at facts, it depends on what you need. And we're going to talk about where general and specific facts work best in paragraphs here in a little bit. So statistics, excuse me, and research studies are both specific because they give you numbers, for example. So, but that's what statistics are facts that involve numbers. Percentages are common for statistics. Research studies, they are always specific because it you're usually giving it you're giving somebody's name, excuse me, and for example, in this example, the date and some information about the study. And you want to, if you're using a research study, it's because it proves something about what you're trying to get across. And we'll look next is examples, illustrations, and definitions. So sometimes you might need to define a word that's important to your topic. Those are general. So for example, acrophobia is an intense, unreasonable fear of high places. That's a general uh, uh, definition. All definitions are, but you can follow them up with the specific examples. So an example is a case or instance that provides more specific information about an idea, and that's what this one does. And I know it's an example because it starts with for instance, and it gives us the story of Andrea Copeland, and it's a story. So it uses sensory details. Suddenly she was struck with terror. She gathered her things and left the building. So this is descriptive. So that's what I mean when I say you'll still use those skills. But the last type of supporting detail that you can use is an expert opinion. And expert opinions, you're always going to have to name who the expert is, tell what they're state what they are an expert in, is what I'm trying to say, and give the quote. And you're choosing something that that proves your opinion or expresses your main idea better. But those are the types of supporting details. So let me stop sharing. And now we're going to look at the two different types of organization for comparison contrast. And you went through this when you did the interactive lesson for the comparison contrast in week 4. But now I want to look at them closer because you're going to choose between the two depending on what you wrote about. Because you may have tried to write in the whole-to-whole organization and it may not work. So that's why I wanted to have this meeting, because it's better to explain it, especially with the comparison contrast, because it can get kind of confusing with the points of comparison. All right, so let me share the presentation. All right, so talking about compare contrast, and we're looking at paragraph level. And so that's why when you write your argument essay, you can take these skills with you and build these types of paragraphs within your essay. All right, compare means similarities, contrast means differences. And when you're comparing and contrasting, you're showing how things are alike or different. Now, in the case of a paragraph, you're going to choose one or the other because you're only writing a paragraph. So this says when you're choosing subjects to compare and contrast, you have to make sure they're alike enough to actually compare things. You don't have to worry about this because the topics they're alike enough to compare. And points of comparison. And I'm just going to kind of go over this briefly. It's better to talk about this and look at it with an example in context. So points of comparison, they have to be parallel or they have to be the same for each subject. And we're going to look at an example to talk about that. So you need to decide if you're going to compare or contrast. And that'll depend on your experience, because most of the topics have to do with your personal experience. So it's still going to be a little bit like narrative. So organizing the ideas. So whether or not, whatever you choose to write about, there's 2 basic methods to organize, compare, contrast. And the one you choose depends on what you were writing about. The first one we're going to talk about is whole to whole. And it's also called subject to subject and block method, depending on the textbook you're looking at. And this type of organization is when you take the first subject and then you talk about all the similarities or differences. And then you do the same thing for the second. So whole to whole, like whole discussion of main subject A, whole discussion of main subject B. And in an outline form, oops, went too fast. That looks like this. So it has topic sentence twice. And the reason is that in some cases, depending on what you're writing about, you might have to have 2 main idea statements within the same paragraph. But overall, you should be able to write the topic sentence as one sentence. But the way that this is organized is first you talk about main subject A, and then point 1, whatever the similarity is, the first similarity is second similarity, and then you repeat that process for the second main subject. The topic sentence, for the topic sentence, you have to state the two main subjects, and indicate if similarities or differences are going to be discussed. And sometimes you should state the points of comparison. Um, but for this type of organization, that's what you're focusing on, is it's organized by the main subject. And this is an example, but we're not going to look at this because I have another one that we're going to look at. But if you need another example to look at, you can come back to this presentation. All right, point by point. That's when you take the first similarity, for example, and then you talk about that first similarity for main subject A, and then you talk about the first similarity for main subject B, and then you repeat the process with the second point or the second similarity. So point by point goes back and forth between the two main subjects. And the way that it is organized is actually by the point of comparison or contrast. So first, point 1, discuss both main subjects, and then point 2, discuss both main subjects. And for the topic sentence, you have to put the points of comparison in there. And let's look at an example. So I'm going to stop sharing this. So the first assignment that you had to do, I'm sorry, lost my train of thought. Okay, does it stop sharing it? Maybe I have to switch to something else. Okay. All right, so you should be able to see the class again. And this assignment was all about pre-writing or planning your paragraph, and it was creating an outline. But I only gave you the whole to whole. So what I've done is I've added point by point. And we're going to go through first. Let's look at the whole to whole example. I'm going to bring up that example paragraph. This is the same paragraph that you looked at in week 4. You took the quiz over, and that lesson was based around this paragraph. You make it bigger. But I want to give you a visual of what whole to whole organization looks like versus point by point. Okay, and I'll explain all the coloring. But what is in red are the main subjects. So the first main subject is eyeglasses. The second main subject is laser surgery. Paragraph starts out by talking about eyeglasses, and then it gives all the information for eyeglasses. So all the benefits and drawbacks, because those are the points of comparison. And then it does the same thing for laser surgery. And so it ends with that. And then there's a concluding statement. So block method, subject by subject, point by point. This is what it looks like visually. Versus point by point. Bring up the example paragraph. So the red, again, is the main subjects. So we have traditional neighborhood schools or public schools and charter schools. Oh, let me make it bigger. It's really little. Okay, so, and you'll see it goes back and forth between the subjects. So charter schools, charter schools, neighborhood schools. And that is, sorry. This is all intro, but it goes back and forth. Here's where the topic sentence is. So where it starts is here, charter schools and neighborhood schools differ, and the points of comparison. Then the paragraph is organized by the points of comparison, and it goes back and forth between the subjects. So they're switching back and forth. And we'll look closer at this example in a minute. So those are the example paragraphs, but what the assignment was to create an outline. And the only one I gave you last time was this one. So I've added an outline for the other type of organization. And if you're not sure if your paragraph might need point by point, I would go back to it. If you're organized by whole to whole and it doesn't fit the topic, it'll affect the quality of the writing. So, and I want your best examples. So just go back and look at your ideas and see. So this is whole to whole. And the way the outline works is this is just an example from that example paragraph of what needs to go in the box. So this is the topic sentence. This is the topic sentence in the paragraph about eyeglasses and laser surgery. What you would do is write your topic sentence here. You'll include your two main subjects. That's what this one has, eyeglasses, laser surgery. Differences are going to be discussed, and that puts the points of comparison in the topic sentence, benefits and drawbacks. All right, so then the way the outline works, and this is, I changed, I had full sentences here, but it's not necessary. You're just, what the outline is for is to make sure you're writing in the organization you're supposed to, because the compare and contrast has multiple requirements, and you're making sure that you're getting the primary information in that you need to include. Now, when you go to write your paragraph, it's going to have more than what you put on the outline, because you've got to put in transitions and concluding ideas. So you have to add things to it. This is purely to make sure that you're including what you need to and you're staying organized. So first main subject, you would put whatever yours is, so eyeglasses. And then the first similarity or difference. In this case, it's the differences, and we're doing benefits of wearing eyeglasses. Then specific example for that. And for the eyeglasses, it was talking about prescriptions and the fashion ad, that they're fashionable. Then you go to drawbacks of eyeglasses, because that's the second point of comparison, the second difference. Repeat the process, specific example. This is specific, it has a specific cost. And then it goes on to main subject B, so laser surgery. And it repeats the process. What are the benefits? Here's an example of that. Drawbacks of laser surgery, example, and that's it for the outline. Now, we already looked at the paragraph, but what this ends up looking like, it's much longer, it has more information on it than the outline did, and it ends up looking like this. So what the green and the blue are general information versus specific. And the pattern overall is general to specific. And you want pretty much a balance between the two. So that's why it's color coded. But so when you're including, that's for example, when I talked about two different types of facts. So a general fact would go first, a specific fact would back it up. So that's one of the reasons for understanding general to specific, because that's how paragraphs move. General information, main idea, more specific information explaining the main idea. Okay, now I want to look at the point by point outline. Same format. And the example paragraph is the one that we looked at just a minute ago. So now we're going to look at it closer. Topic sentence, in this case, the main subjects are charter schools and neighborhood schools differ. So it indicates some similarities or differences. And here's the 2 points of comparison: the amount of time students spend in school and academic achievement. So still put the main subject, your first one. First point of comparison, it's the amount of time students spend in school. And a specific example for that, this comes from the example essay. So students who attend charter schools do so for around 200 days in a year, and most charter school days are over 8 hours long. Then main subject B is public or traditional schools. So this is where it differs. Instead of going on to the second point of comparison, it goes on to the second main subject. And then we look at the amount of time students spend in school for the second main subject, and we have evidence for that. Then it moves on to the second point, academic achievement, and then a specific example. And point 2 for main subject B, academic achievement. And here, you're going to notice there's no example. Well, that's because the way that ends up being written, this is enough for both. And that's something that might happen. You might end up, deciding that you only need one example for both. And if that works out, that's fine. And here's the example paragraph. So much longer than the information that's in the outline. And for one reason is these are all introductory sentences. So they gave some background information to help set up what their paragraph was going to be about. This is the topic sentence. So it talks about both neighborhood and charter schools, how they provide education to students meeting enrollment criteria. So this wasn't in the outline. This is a sentence that it transitions between the topic sentence and the first point of comparison. And then it has the specific example. And then on the contrary indicates that we're going to go to the other subject. And it talks about charter schools. So there's only one mistake in this one. is it doesn't write about the topics in the order, same order as the topic sentence. So they would need to switch those two things. But then it moves on to the second point of comparison, which is student achievement. And there's just one example or a quote from a source for both of the main subjects, then has a concluding sentence. So that is the other option for organization. And depending on what topic you chose, it might be better to put your paragraph in that form. So you do have to write a cause effect paragraph this week. But I'm going to give you time to go back and look at these compare contrast paragraphs and redo them. So just, well, what the due date for the compare contrast would be is the same due date as the cause and effect. So it'll give you time to work on both of them. And they're only paragraphs, so you should have time to do both this week. But that is it for the compare contrast. But now let's look at the assignments for the cause effect paragraph. Okay, make sure. Uh-oh, I just stopped sharing. Okay, here it goes. Okay, and I will put in, this is to turn in the final draft of the compare contrast, and I will change that due date. And I moved it already to week 5, so you don't have to go searching for it. So let's back up. So we're still in week 5. And here is the cause and effect paragraph, lessons and assignments. So there's an ebook reading, so Launchpad. There's a link to each section of the chapter, and then you take a quiz. So that's just a general introduction to cause and effect. And then this presentation is over 2 different types of organizations. Oh, that wasn't for you all. It says due before class on Thursday. I need to take that off. Okay, and what I wanted to go over with you is this assignment. So this is your example cause and effect paragraph. And the way that you're looking at the example is you're actually going to grade it based on the rubric, and it's the same rubric that you're going to be graded with. So you're going to understand exactly what's required. So let me bring this up. Oh, let me back up. All right, so you're downloading 2 things. The example paragraph that is going to be annotated just like the other example you saw was. And so this is where those different colors comes in important, is because it goes along with the rubric, and we're going to talk about that. Let me make this bigger. I'm going to get this ready and then bring in the next one. Okay, so you have this paragraph, and this is the example cause and effect paragraph. This is the one you're grading. So whereas like for the compare contrast, you used eyeglasses versus laser surgery, this is what you're doing for this one. And I'm going to close some of these out. All right. Okay. And this is the assignment to read the paragraph and grade it. So it looks really detailed. It looks scarier than it is. It's really not that difficult, but it has to be detailed because it's looking at each required element for a cause and effect paragraph, same elements that you're going to be graded on. So this explains what you're doing and what the purpose is. So the purpose is to evaluate a cause and effect paragraph for the necessary elements so you can learn the structure and organization before you go to write your own. So you're going to grade it to determine if it meets the requirements. So you're going to be looking for certain elements of structure and content. And these are the different sections of the rubric. So let's go on down here. So cause and effect, it says equals student example because you're looking at the student example paragraph. You're going to look at these different categories on the rubric: main idea, development of supporting details, language, and style. And this tells you what to do step by step each time. So first you read the description of the category, you look for those elements of the category in the paragraph, you answer some questions, you complete an evaluation form, and then you score the rubric for each section. So I'm going to walk through it to show you what you do. It sounds more difficult than it is. It's just kind of detailed, but you're just repeating the same process. So this is the first section, main idea. And at the end of the document are the rubric and the evaluation form. So let's scroll down. So this is the rubric. So we're looking at the main idea area of the rubric. These are the elements we're going to be looking for. And then this is where you'll end up scoring the rubric. And then there's the evaluation form. Same section, main idea. So this is what you fill out on the evaluation form. You just go section by section. So if we look at main idea, so main idea, a topic sentence states the main idea of the paragraph. The main idea of a cause and effect paragraph is the main cause or main effect, and it introduces the causes or effects that are discussed. It says, what do I look for? This tells you what to look for. So find the topic sentence. It's already annotated, so you're just going to the paragraph and looking for something highlighted in yellow that's red. And it says to find the following the topic sentence, word or phrase that states the main idea, the main cause or effect, so that it's going to be annotated, and the words or phrases that introduce causes or effects. Okay, so let's go to the example paragraph. And I closed it out. Okay, I closed out the wrong thing. Let me go open the paragraph again. Sorry, you all. Here we go. Here it comes. All right, so here's our example. Make it bigger. All right, a difficult decision with positive outcome. So here is that topic sentence. We have the main cause or effect, and we have the causes or effects that are discussed in the paragraph. So if we go back to the main idea section, that's what you're looking for. So the two that are stated in the topic sentence, the two main, excuse me, can compare, contrast, confuse the cause effect. So whatever the main cause or effect is. So if we go look at the example paragraph, when my mother made the decision to move back to New York, I made the choice to stay with my dad. So that's the main cause or effect. We know if it's cause or effect yet? Not quite yet. So that I could finish high school. This decision affected, there we go, it's an effect. I mean, it's a cause because this is an effect. Affected me in a positive way because, and here are the effects she's going to discuss. So the main idea is the cause. The cause was staying with the dad. The effects of the cause were these three things. I graduated with my friends, built a better relationship with my father, and had the chance to go to college without leaving home. All right, so then that's it for that section. Now we have to answer the questions. Does the topic sentence clearly state the main cause or effect? Yes, it does. So it says answer the following questions on the evaluation form. Does the topic sentence introduce the causes or effects? Well, yes, they do. So it says to go to the evaluation form. So I'm going to go down there. And here it is for topic sentence. Here's the question. Does the topic sentence clearly state the main cause or effect? Yes, it does. So I'm just going to type yes or put Y, or I could have copied and pasted. Let me do that. That's easier. If you do Control C, it copies, and Control V pastes. All right, so does the topic sentence introduce the causes or effects to be discussed in the paragraph? Yes, it does. It lists 3 of them. So I am going to put yes there. Okay, and then we're going to move on to organization of causes and effects. So we go back to, I scroll back up. So we finished main idea, and we have to score the rubric. You could score the rubric section by section, or you could do it all at the end if you wanted. That's up to you. But I'm going to go ahead and score the rubric just to show you. And we have, is it very weak? No. I'm going to go ahead and give it an A because it clearly states the topic, introduces causes or effect, and it has good sentence structure. And I'm just going to color them in red. You can make it whatever color you want, though. All right, so now to the next section. Organization of causes and effects. Sure, I'm not okay. Yes. So the supporting detailed sentences in the paragraph should restate and discuss the causes or effects in the same order they are listed in the topic sentence. What do I look for? Read the paragraph to check the order of the causes and effects. Then answer the questions on the evaluation form. Okay, so I'm going to go to the paragraph. And here, they're highlighted throughout the paragraph what the causes and effects are. So first, graduating with my friends. I graduated with my friends is the first thing listed in the topic sentence. The relationship I built with my dad. Okay, so that's the second thing. And then had the chance to go to college. And yes, that's the third. So when you're just checking through, you're just kind of scanning through to make sure it's there. And then you do what it says. You go fill it out on the evaluation form. So this is the last section I'm going to do so that you all can finish it off on your own. But I just wanted to show you that that's how you do it. So organization, it tells me to answer the questions on the evaluation form. So I go down there and I'll let you score the rubric for this section on your own. And what is the first cause or effect? And this is where, so it has me list them. And I'm not going to do that. You can copy and paste them over. But, and I will reattach this. So this one will be done still with this first section filled out for you. But that's how you do that assignment. It's not that difficult. And what it's, the main benefit of it is this is the rubric that you're going to be graded with. And so you're basically going through the same grading process that I am. And that's your example paragraph. So once you're done with the assignment, you know exactly what needs to be in your paragraph when you go to write it. But that is that. And let me go back to the class folder. So that's the, you go into this folder to just go over structure and organization of cause and effect. So this preparing you to write the paragraph. And then you go into the next folder. So requirements and guidelines, no quiz over at this time. Now you are choosing your own topic this time. So this is just topic ideas if you want it. Now I want you to make sure that you choose a topic you're familiar with and only use information from sources sparingly, maybe one direct quote. And then types of supporting details for cause and effect, you'll go through that. This is not an assignment to submit, but you are still doing planning and writing your rough draft and adding transitions, same thing you've been doing for each one. But this time you're choosing your own planning. So these are several different methods for planning. You're going to pick one and complete it. Then you're going to write your rough draft, add your transitions, and once you're happy with your paragraph, you submit it. So I'm not grading you on the steps this time. You're going through this on your own, planning however you want to. You're not turning it in. Now save it. Don't delete it or anything. And then you're going to turn in just the final draft of the paragraph. This has the MLA template on it. It has the transitions chart, and then it has several different options for planning. And I have the final due date. Let's see. Yep. Monday by the end of the day. So, and this is just a paragraph, and you're still going to get a chance to revise and edit both of these paragraphs before I take a final grade. All right. So I've been talking forever, but that's it. I just wanted to go through this week and then back up a little bit for the compare and contrast to give you a chance to go back to that paragraph because it wasn't explained well, and I didn't show you both of the options good enough. So if you have any questions, you can ask me now. If you are good to go, then you can go ahead and leave the meeting. I did record it, so I'll post the recording if you need to refer back to anything. But thank you for coming. And if you do have a question, just unmute your microphone and let me know. Oh, good question. Specific word count for the paragraph. I know there is. It should be listed requirements and guidelines. Minute 300 words. That's what I thought, but I want to make sure. So 300 words. So it's a long paragraph, but and I'll go ahead and type that in just in case. All right, any more questions? Oh, and I just forgot to tell you, but I'll put out an announcement. I did grade narrative, so you've got your revised narrative essay grade posted. Okay. And if you have a question, you can just unmute your microphone. Oh, let me stop recording.